Go. All right. I think we're ready. Tom, you ready? We're ready. Let's do it.
I'm ready. I'm pretty ready.
Okay, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, join us now for this edition of the what is this? Current Geek. That's the show we're doing now. Current Geek begins in 3, 2, 1.
I have
Current Geek.
Current Geek. Aha.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Current Geek. This is Current Geek, and welcome the weekly proceedings of the meetings of the Frog Pants All-Stars, Geeks of the World, and you to keep you current on the things that matter most. I'm Scott Johnson, and he is Tom Merritt. Hi, Tom.
Scott Johnson, I was telling you before the show, 4 o'clock on Friday, everybody is cashed out. Everybody's wrecked. They're ready for the weekend. But Current Geek always gets me going. I'm always like fired up to do this show. It's so fun.
Do you wait to be wrecked till we're done? Like the hour's over, then you go,
it's like my third or fourth wind. And I'm not breaking it either.
No, good. Good. That gavel sound is not Tom breaking wind. Joining us.
Gavel McLeod, our third host.
That's right. We have special guests today. As always, I would like to introduce them gender first. Let's start with Nicole. Nicole Spagnolo, old friend of the network, current host on many of the shows on the network, and a fantastic podcaster, mother, and probably better half to her Italian husband than any of us would ever be. It's Nicole Spag, everybody. Hey.
Hi, Scott.
How are you?
I've had better days, but I'm bringing it. It's Friday. I'm here. We're doing it.
A reminder, if you have a little kid, he will bring home viruses and bacteria that you are not wanting to have in your house. That's the way it is.
Tiny petri dishes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nicole's going through that now.
Going through the exposure phase again. Right. I already did that when I was younger, but oh well.
All right, well, this is a good way to clear it out. Also joining us, I'm really happy to be bringing him on the show. You know him, you love him. It's Ayaz Akhtar, CNET's own. Hello, how you doing?
I think people either know me or they love me, but if they know me, they don't love me.
They don't know you and love you?
That's not true.
Come on now.
That's not true at all.
We know you, we love you, right?
The people who stay knowing you must love you.
They actually have a problem. They have a support group. They meet every week, every Wednesday.
I see. Of course, Ayaz brings all sorts of tech know-how to the show, so him and Tom together is pretty much a mess for Nicole and I. We're not going to know anything during the proceedings today.
We'll try.
Graphene!
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. But we're excited to bring it to you, so let's get going.
Herbert Hoover, Secretary of Commerce in 1922, finds infant radio facilitates news gathering, as do many others in high public office.
It's Top Stuff with Tom Merritt.
What is this infant radio that we hear about every week? I can't wait to hear the infants in their shows.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Yes, Google producing a prototype 3D sensing smartphone project called Project Tango. You may have heard something about it. It can provide 3D maps of interior spaces, touted to be good for things. Most of the time, you're going to hear the example of in a mall or possibly a parking garage. You'd be able to use this to find your way around. Could help out with augmented reality as well. There's a demo video up from a company called Matterport that got an early prototype, and it makes their really junky looking garage shed into a real better than video game like 3D space.
So is this supposed to be you'd be able to walk into a place with your shiny new Samsung Galaxy 5 something, and this would be able to sort of 3D map stuff, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's probably the Galaxy 7 or 8, but I think the maps would be delivered to the phone. And then you'd be able to be like, I'm parking here. And it'd be like, got it. Know where you are. Yeah. Let's rock. I wonder if it would help you find your way back.
I wonder if it'll be like that melty candle look that all the 3D stuff in either Google Maps or even Apple Maps does, where all
Did
the
you look at the
weird.
Matterport video?
I haven't seen this yet. No, does it look good?
It looks like a really high-res first-person shooter scene.
You just expect, like the dog from Duck Hunt to pop out or something.
Like, I'm not sure why they picked the junky garage as their
look at that
display.
Yeah, there it is. Wow.
But it feels like there should be a med pack on the floor somewhere, and somebody's trying to frag me.
That's actually kind of impressive. Ayaz, how often will you use such a technology in your life day to day?
I if I could somehow marry it to something like Google Glass or something where I could make it a little easier to run around with, I think I'd probably use this bizarre thing, because I have this tendency to be very clumsy. So if I could map out a room or have somebody map out a room before I get in there, I could be like, I can avoid stubbing my toe, bonking my head.
Yeah.
Because it's usually bad when I do that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
bad.
you can look down at your phone in order not to run into things.
Well, that's
Exactly.
what I was thinking. We're already looking in our phones all the time. Let's give us even more of a reason to look at our phones
Yeah.
and not look up.
Well, we're all gonna have like really busted necks in the future, just kind of like, that's why they got to.
Well, it's going to be so much better resolution with augmented reality and labels when you look at your phone than looking in real life that you just won't need to look around anymore.
Yeah. The advantage to this to me is when you start to find 3D map spaces like, you know, what is the best parking spot at the Bellagio, or what is the quickest way for me to get to the top of this building from this parking lot? Which staircases am I taking? Like that kind of visual representation could be powerful for those who struggle with, you know, being in a new city, or they're there for business. They don't know really where to go. They're late for a meeting. I mean, I imagine, you know, knowing that, oh, this is I got off on the right place on the subway because look, this is what I'm seeing on my phone. This is exactly that space. That
Like
seems
sight
pretty neat.
filter.
Yeah. And by the way, I was right. That technology or whatever it is has to be derivative of what they're doing to approximate 3D maps right now, because, you know, it has that weird melted plastic texture quality to everything,
Yeah.
which is a little bit weird.
does.
Pretty cool,
It's
though.
hard. It's hard for me to wrap my brain around it though. But when they said for to help blind people, I was like, oh, that totally makes sense. So I definitely see it in that capacity. I still am not seeing it actually easy to use in your everyday life. But well, I guess the next generation will show us how to do that.
And they couldn't be totally blind, right? Because they would.
Well, no, they were talking about it would feed into their ears.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Like messaging.
Using other senses to
Yeah.
let them know things that are what directions to go and stuff like that.
Got it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You know what else is cool? Marvel released the first Guardians of the Galaxy trailers. There was a main trailer, and there's been some other behind-the-scenes stuff put out. Thanks to Buttercup Boxer, who submitted this on our subreddit at currentgeek.reddit.com. You, too, can submit things on our subreddit, and it helps us figure out what to talk about. Did you guys, I mean, you all watched it, right?
Oh, yeah. 3 or 4 times.
Elias probably didn't. He's not a big Marvel fan.
No, not at all. I'm not a Marvel guy, except for the whole, Marvel stuff that I just happen to have all the time. When it comes to, I watched this trailer and I had the dumbest like grin in the world. Just kind of like, now I don't think it's gonna be like a monstrous hit or anything, because I don't think it's going to into pop culture the way a Superman character or a Spider-Man character could. But I think that like the Disney Marvel kind of model right now is just to introduce this universe, and it looks like so much fun. It's all the stuff I wanted when I was a kid, and it's happening.
Yeah.
Is this Marvel Studios?
This is Marvel, yeah. This is Marvel Studios doing it.
Studios,
And this is them taking a relatively, from a mainstream perspective, a relatively obscure property and turning it into a movie. And it definitely kind of has a, and I mean this in the best way, because I know there were problems with these movies, and I talked about this on Comic Dorks, but I'll say it again. There's a taste of like Mystery Men in here. There's a little bit of a Hitchhiker's Guide movie kind of vibe to it. Again, depending on how much you like that movie or not. But it's got that otherworldly thing going on. But we've also they're going to spend some time with making our main character Star-Lord kind of he'll be relatable to the rest of us in ways. So we're going to see the world through him, which is good. You need a character like that. I think
he got a promotion from being a receptionist in Her.
Yeah, exactly. And the whole "Hooked on a Feeling" or whatever that song is, I can't think what it is. Whatever it is.
Hooked on a Feeling.
Hooked on a Feeling?
Yeah.
My gosh, that's great. What a weird freaking thing to use at the end of your trailer. Like that had me going. So
and it's
I feel
not
like
the Mac Davis version. It's the Ooga Chugga. Ooga
Chugga. Right, but it has the tone that I want out of a weird offshoot Marvel property that isn't as grounded as, say, the Avengers or something else. This is them saying, yep, this is like essentially Guardians of the Galaxy is sort of their attempt to be a little more DC with outer space adventures. And DC does this all the time, where they're constantly the Super Friends. The Justice League of America is constantly going into deep space and fighting crazy alien races who want to destroy the world or whatever. That's totally what this
as a Marvel
is.
nerd.
Yeah.
You know that X-Men has done the cosmic stuff. Fantastic Four has done cosmic.
Sure.
So it's I don't know if it's more DC. It's a little weird, but that's me.
It feels more DC to me. And I'm not a giant DC aficionado. In fact, I think they're at their weakest when they try to get all cosmic. But I guess if this is as much not parody, like I don't want it to be a straight up comedy, but I do like there being more humor in this, having the aliens be just freaking weird. and taking it a little further than you would a fight, in New York City with the Avengers. That's what I hope for.
Well, and this has a long history, right? So
yeah, I mean, it has its fans, but they are definitely a smaller group. And Scott Kurtz had said on Comic Dorks, and I think he's right. This is another way to weave an extended universe tapestry for Marvel and connect more things. So there's little doubt you'll have a lot of connective tissue between this movie and Avengers 2, and then whatever they do with the Thor 3. I mean, Thor's really, speaking of cosmic stuff, I mean, Thor's as cosmic as you get. But yeah, I think it looks freaking awesome. And I didn't know you're such a Marvel guy. That's great.
I was a everything comic guy, actually. So when it comes to DC, and when you think of cosmic, I'm thinking Jack Kirby's New Gods. If you're thinking Marvel, I think Silver Surfer actually first, even though he's Fantastic Four.
Sure.
But yeah, I was huge into everything in the 90s, and that kind of trailed off when I got in the 2000s around the Image Comics bust.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay,
you're out.
Bye.
You should get back in. It's great now.
I feel like I should point out Blue Swede is the group that did Hooked on It.
Yes. And one quick recommendation before we move on. If you want to get into Guardians of the Galaxy ahead of time, the Michael Bendis, is it Michael? Mm-hmm. Anyway, yeah, his
Brian
current yes. Brian, duh. His current run of Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm on issue 3, is really, really good. People should pick that up.
All right, Marvel is releasing Guardians of the Galaxy, but 0 Point by Condition 1 is a documentary film you can watch in your Oculus Rift.
What?
This is a company whose earlier projects let iPad users move through footage with a 180-degree field of vision, so you could determine where you were looking in the movie with kind of this wraparound effect. They've put out a trailer that does the same thing, so you can do that in your web browser. But in the Oculus Rift, you're going to get 360-degree viewing when you watch the documentary.
Good, because that
what was
trailer was
happening
frustrating.
behind the interview, I guess. I don't know. Full film coming to Rift developers later in 2014. It's called 0 Point, and it's about the Oculus Rift and the state of virtual reality.
Which is great. Think about that. Snake eating itself, watching a documentary about the Rift while wearing a Rift. Woohoo! That's crazy. I have one, so I could
Have you used it?
Yeah, I use it here and there. My kids, like Nick, will put it on and play for hours, no problem.
Really?
He loves it.
So he actually plays that. What does he play on?
Just demos mostly. Like he'll go over that roller coaster 150 times in a row. There's a space exploration one he really likes. He'll do, but it doesn't bother him. He doesn't get headaches, doesn't get dizzy. And this is the original dev kit, so we're talking before all these refinements in the latest model that they were showing off at CES. I can't have it on for more than about 10 minutes before I want to yak. So
they say they want to get the lag time down to 20 milliseconds. I think the CES Crystal Cove one was 30, and they want to fix the you want to puke aspect.
Yeah, that's a good.
That's the next documentary coming from Oculus Rift is
in Technicolor.
Do you think this could change the movie experience for some people? Instead of IMAX, it's Oculus Rift. Branded.
Imagine a movie. I mean, so let's say Hollywood starts saying, okay, sure, these VR movies are coming straight to your home. It's a digital buy. It's $50, and you and 10 other people can watch them or something or whatever. I could see him doing that, but I don't foresee a day very soon anyway where we're all going out to a theater and picking up a Rift and putting it on our head. That would be
as
crazy.
You walk into the theater. Please recycle these on the way out.
Yeah.
Would that even be like a group experience? Because you're already like in basically a helmet. You can't see what anybody else is doing. Is this like, or will it be just a guy in the front who will be like directing you? Everyone should look left.
Look left now. Don't forget. Oh, you didn't look. You missed the whole scene.
We talked about this on Daily Tech News Show, and that was one of the things I said is I want a guided experience. I don't want to have to pick the camera angle every time. Even in the trailer, sometimes I'd be over here looking at something in one scene, and the next scene's way over there. I'm like, it felt like work. Like, I got to drag it over here to see this guy now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting.
I agree.
It's interesting, that idea of entertainment-based content, not necessarily interactive. Well, it's by its nature, I guess, Rift stuff is interactive because you're moving around in it. But stuff that's like a movie or a narrative being sent to you in some digital form on a regular basis in a serialized way, that's kind of exciting. Assuming that the technology gets to the point that most people can wear it without having, dizzy spells or headaches or getting nauseous or whatever. And, people with eye issues and glasses and stuff can get better use out of the thing. Assuming they can get all of that, I think it'd be a pretty neat way to justify the cost of one of these things.
talk about rewatch value of a movie, because
Yeah.
you're gonna feel like you missed something.
Yeah, go sit in another
right?
chair. Yeah. Go hang out. See, that's just weird. That's an awesome
But movies
idea.
are passive. I don't want to sit there and have to poke around. I could see this being cool for historical stuff, though, where you're like, let's show you the Zapruder film, and then you could just like move in and look for the shadows or the bullets, or simulations of an archaeological site where they're walking around and you can kind of look where you want while you're being moved through this vista or whatever.
Or the natural evolution of this technology should be.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the movie.
We're gonna. Yes, I want to be up in those lights when they breaks them. I want to be inside of okay, so the Sega CD era, right? That was supposed to usher in this full motion video thing. I was going to just take the world by storm, and it ended up being very gimmicky and very short lived. But while I was there, it's a very interesting point in video game history. Imagine a world where you are in a full motion mystery game, detective film noir movie thing.
Gone Home is a great, I think, would
great
be perfect.
example. Yep.
Yeah.
Great example. In fact, you make a good point. We're already kind of getting games like this anyway. Why not let us be in that space, even if it's happening and we're passive observers and then have to make decisions about what we saw. We witness a crime and now we have to solve it or something. Those kinds of
choose
things.
your own adventure style.
Yeah, it'd be great. Don't you think? I mean, it's a much bigger deal than I'm making it sound, because that's a lot of alternate footage. That's a lot of different endings to almost every scenario. I mean, it gets crazy.
That's moving movies more towards video games.
Yep.
Video games are already moving towards movies.
Sure.
It seems like a natural meeting space somewhere.
Yeah, down with that.
Yeah. Mr. Anthropology submitted a Business Insider story about Lego designer Mark Stafford, who posted on Reddit about how Lego almost went bankrupt and how they turned it around. Apparently, they weren't accurately assessing parts costs in the 90s. And so they were selling things at a loss. So the more they sold, the farther in the hole they got. Things like Lego Technic, Snap, Primo. Some of that was a result of hiring really talented designers who knew nothing about toys. In fact, Stafford considers the Galador line to be Lego's most heinous offense. It was based on a kids show, and the line was basically an action figure series with awkward features like interchangeable arms. Eventually, in 2004, Jorgen Vig Nudstorp, a former McKinsey consultant, took over as CEO. I knew that was going to make
It's a great name. I am not making fun of it. I wish I had this guy's name. That is an incredible name.
He rescued the company. He tossed series that were wasting money, cut the number of pieces by more than a half, hired talented designers who were also passionate fans of Lego, like Stafford, rather than just smart people with impressive resumes. And we got Bionicle, we got Star Wars, and Lego has really taken off since then.
Well, they're huge, and they're freaking licensed movies making so much money right now. It's
Everything
insane.
is awesome.
Yeah,
for that.
And nice. And that thing is what, 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. You don't get better than that typically. It's amazing. So good on them. Good on Jorgen von. What was it? Jorgen Vig Nudstorp.
That's hit the man.
Yeah, that guy deserves all the credit.
I'm sure you didn't mispronounce it, nor did I. We were both perfectly perfect with our Jorgen.
I mean, I still have one complaint. I'd like your take on this, because clearly I would, if I had to guess, you're a dude who used to put bricks together to make stuff. Am I wrong?
You know what? I was more of an erector set guy than Lego guy.
All right.
But yeah, I was into building all that stuff together.
Nerd.
I used to. I liked it because it had actually motors. So this is before Mindstorm, right? Like that's. So success based on poor accounting.
Yeah.
That's lucky.
Yeah.
Really lucky, considering if you can turn it around.
This is
I mean,
true.
Can you imagine if it caused Lego to go out of business and we're all like watching like
Well, they got that
Blocko?
close, right? Yeah.
I don't want to watch Blocko.
No.
I wonder if the fact that their blocks were patent protected for a long time caused some of that that sort of like, well, it doesn't matter. We've got a monopoly. Nobody can make these blocks.
No,
And then when the patent went away is when they really were like, oh crap, we've got to turn this ship around.
Did the Duplo was Duplo theirs? They made the Duplo.
Yeah, they made Duplo.
Okay.
Duplo was there.
Wonder how that went. You'd hate to see a Duplo movie. At least maybe I'm speaking for myself here. But Nicole, when your son grows up to play with Legos,
Yes.
are you bothered?
Which we already have a number of Lego sets.
Oh, okay,
Mark
good.
is big into Legos. So we already have a SpongeBob Lego set and a World of Warcraft Lego set. All of these, of course, not giving a 2-year-old.
Well, are you bothered? Or wait, the Warcraft one's the Mega Blocks, though, isn't it? Same stuff. Doesn't
Oh yeah,
It's
it is.
pretty close.
See, I get them confused.
Yeah,
so.
I don't
Well, they're
want.
interchangeable.
I'll upset the purists out there when I say they're pretty much the same. But anyway,
Ooh.
what I was going to say is, are you bothered at all that most of these sets kind of are pre-built in a lot of ways? He doesn't get to use as much of his imagination to sort of just take a bucket of bricks and make something.
Well, they still have the bucket of bricks. In fact, we have generic kind of Legos. They're not Legos, but they're the generic kind, and they're the Mega Blocks.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he has the opportunity. So far, he's not really into them. So when I see that they had a line for under for smaller children 1 to 5, I'm like, that probably was not a success because they're really not playing with that stuff at that age.
Yeah.
So I could see why it didn't really succeed.
Yeah,
So-
you just see this like, here's the just about finished Millennium Falcon that you can put 3 bricks on and a dude in. I mean, I feel like it's not.
Right.
I feel like back in the day, it sounds like an old man thing about going uphill both ways, but I felt like we were required to build from nothing.
You had to build the police car from scratch.
And Legos were meant to be very generic gender too. I mean,
Right.
I've seen a lot of advertisement, like the young girl that built that cool thing. She's older now and she came back, and they're really trying to make it a business, I guess now. Like they're not really worried about. They're trying to make boy sets and girl sets, and they're like, no, the core of Lego is everyone plays, right?
Yep.
Well,
So-
that was unintentional. That was just bad marketing on Lego's part.
They were
I'm
just
not,
lazy.
I'm not saying it was a bad thing. I'm saying I'm
Right.
pretty sure that wasn't a strategy.
No,
Probably
I
not.
have to
Not
agree
till
with-
Jorgen Vig Noogstorp stepped in.
Or Jorgen.
Yeah.
German studio Big Rep is taking a spin on 3D printers. You're not printing plastic cupcakes. You're not printing parts for your dishwasher. You're printing a couch. Full-sized pieces of furniture with its open source one printer. Build volume of 45 by 39 by 47 inches. That's 46 cubic feet. Okay, so maybe a chair, but you can do a sectional. It can print in plastic. It can print in wood fiber, in polymer, as well as lay brick and sandstone filament. Only going to run you $39,000.
Oh, so wait. So I can pay 40 grand
Right.
and I can build furniture slightly less stable than I can get at IKEA.
Who said it was less stable? It actually might be more stable than IKEA.
All right, that's a fair point.
But it also is, you're going to have to buy you're going to have to print like 390 pieces to equal the cost of IKEA.
yeah, that's the big kicker. To me, it's a cost thing, but every time we hear something new about 3D printing, I just get excited because it's just another step in the right direction, right? I mean, even if this isn't a mainstream thing where we are all going to go buy one at Walmart for $1,000, I mean, I guess we all probably would then, but
Yeah, because now you're talking about almost the price of a couch.
yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, in fact, a good couch will run you that or more.
A couch and a couple of chairs, and you're ahead at
Sure.
$1,000.
So spending that would make sense, and things are always a price point thing. But moreover, I just think this is a great step in the direction of here's another thing we can print, and guess what? It's got wood fiber, which is kind of a big deal because nobody wants to sit on resin, in a house and have a
Well, one of the
liquid.
other things is you always had I've moved a lot in the past, I don't know, 10 years or so. And when I go shopping, try to buy furniture, I hate the phrase out of stock.
Yeah.
It's like, can you make me a new one? I could see maybe like these like boutique shops saying we have this exclusive design and we'll print this out. Yeah, we put $40,000 into this machine. You're not going to be paying for that outright, obviously, but you can print out this device, or not device, this piece of furniture, take it home with you, build it if you want, or however you want to do that. But I could see it being like right now for the small shop owner to have the ability to mass produce something that they couldn't before.
Yeah.
That's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, pair that up with delivery, and then it's like, do you want this? Great, we'll bring it over tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, time is money. As someone that has a husband that makes
Friends.
furniture
Yeah.
for a living, and he makes videos too. But I mean, time is money. And friend, do you want me to? I could ask someone I know to make you some furniture.
Yeah.
Time is money, friend.
Yeah.
Oh, I got it.
He's
I
just
got
doing a goblin, see.
I thought you were just saying, "Hey, I'm your friend, so ask your husband to build me some
Also,
furniture."
make me some
Also
furniture.
that. Also make me some furniture. No, it's interesting because in Mark's
Agreed.
case, he would have like, this would be a great prototyping type technology
Sure.
where you could get ideas out quickly, run 3D models through there that either others have created or he's augmented or whatever, and then
Right.
decide what he's going to finally do, or maybe use it as
Well,
the core.
what a great upsell, right?
Yeah.
You have that. You're like, here, we can print you the chair, or for an extra fee, we can build one from scratch.
That seems
and
cool.
then you get that artisan, bonus.
And you do get the kind of purist attitude. So there are guys out there with CNC machines that they can just plug it into the machine and it cuts it all out and you put it together. And there are groups that say, oh, that's not real woodworking.
Yeah.
And so I could say this for them would be really not woodworking. But it's a really cool way to build a piece of furniture.
It's the age-old thing. When people started editing on computers and quit using big film editing bays, people said, no, it's not the same. It's this way.
Right.
Or digital film as opposed to regular film or digital,
Got
movies.
your camps.
It's the same thing. There's always going to be these people that are purists. And that's actually, I think, a good thing because those skills and that kind of artisanship and all that stuff will stay. Someone will still do the old ways, right? But you may as well imagine back in the 80s, late 80s, when laser printers started to become a thing that you could own. And there were probably some group going, if you're not laying out little lead letters backwards and upside down and putting them on a giant press with 40 pounds of ink, then you're not printing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like somebody somewhere thought that. Well, now nobody thinks
I remember
that.
hearing someone make that argument of like, movable type printing is just better than any laser printer could ever be.
Yeah. And they were right for their own reasons, but progress, baby. You got to keep moving.
These 3D printers are amazing. I mean, they're penetrating all markets. It's really quite cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
For instance, someday we're going to look at windows on airplanes and go, why? Why did they ever do that? Spike Aerospace says drag will be reduced by removing the windows, which cause significant challenges in designing and constructing an aircraft fuselage. They're going to replace them with high-def screens and cameras on the outside of the plane so that you can stream what's outside. You'll actually have a better view because you can have the entire wall be a window because it's just an HD screen.
I so prefer this to the current way.
I don't trust it.
Well,
there's no way they're going to have banner ads. I swear.
Well, you've seen that. Is it LG that did that commercial where these people were coming in for job interviews in Turkey or something, and then the wall behind them was a screen, and it looked so real when the giant meteor hit that they all thought they were going to die and hit the floor and stuff. It's kind of like that. If you don't really, for all you know, what's it like? It's like the Wool series, Tom, is what this reminds me of. You got those cameras out there.
Don't go outside the plane.
Yeah, don't go out there because you don't know what's really out there. But what if
the
is?
S512 supersonic jet is not expected to launch until 2018, and it, as you may have noticed, I said a supersonic jet. So this is not going to be on passenger airplanes.
Right. Well, one can hope.
Yet.
See, but what about when you want to close the window? Like if it's one giant screen,
you just turn it off.
You have to turn off the whole thing?
No, you just press close, and it's going to change to a picture of the wall.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a nice pattern.
Or an episode of something.
In the images I saw, it was one continuous piece, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so, but you can change. You can have different pictures at different parts of the. You're
gonna have like all this glow factor coming in on the side. It's like I closed it to take a nap.
All the old Pioneer Kuros that are left over are going to make this.
You're not going to be able to lean your head up against it either without getting screen burn in.
Dude, face
that
grease
is
on
actually
that.
a pretty good point.
Yeah.
Even if they're LCDs.
I've seen this loop before.
My view is not anti-Elias. What's going on outside? Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, dead pixels are really going to annoy you. Finally, forensic artists have recreated the face of the Crystal Skull vodka bottle. I don't mean this is our last story in the Top Talk, although it is. I mean, finally, they got around to doing this by replacing layers of muscle and flesh on top of the bottle to create one goofy looking person.
It's bad. If it wasn't done by actual forensic artists, I would think it was done by my 15-year-old self, because here's why. When I was 15, we had a skull we'd carry around for Halloween, like just a skull my mom had put out for decorating or whatever. It was a plastic skull, and I got it in my head one day that I wanted to see what this skull looked like before it died. So I took a bunch of clay, just oil-based clay, and I built like a face around it, tried to approximate muscles the best way I could, all this kind of stuff. Big orange face on top of this skull, and it looked like the Joker. It was ridiculous with this big grin, and it just looked kind of crazy. So I just figured, I'm bad at this. But then I saw this picture. I am not bad at this. Because they did the same thing.
alternate career should you choose to
Right.
to promote that
Forensic
habit.
artist and podcaster Scott Johnson.
Takes yet another face. I could go around. I could get like mannequins at the mall and things like that.
I mean, part of it is that he's got a spout coming out of the top of his head, obviously, but it's also just the weird open-mouthed expression, which I'm sure looked great on the skull, but once you put a face on him, he just.
I agree with the commenter. It looks like Ed Grimley.
Yeah, it does.
does.
Or
they should put hair. They
or
should
like
put
somebody's attempt to make like a real life Fry from Futurama or something. Like it's just got this distorted mouth.
No, Fry looks better than
well,
that.
he does, but you know how you do when you take like a cartoon character and try to exaggerate that into realism.
When the Simpsons became real.
Yeah, that stuff's really weird. But I'm just, honestly, it was a bit of a reassurance that I wasn't crazy when I was 15 to even be interested in doing what I was doing.
Well, wait a minute now. If that was your interest, I think you being crazy is still up for debate.
I was so into the idea at the time. I thought it was so cool. But.
You know what, Scott? My problem with it is that it's taking something that's supposed to be real and making it fake. It's like frozen food. Like I wish I had the time to cook real food.
Yeah. And
I don't want to take the time to go to the store because it's traffic and all that stuff.
Tom, how about 30 minutes or less? How's that sound to you on time?
30 minutes or less?
Yeah, and you'll be a pro. Like Eileen would see this food and go, "What? Who did I marry? How is this happening?"
It must not be very good food at 30 minutes or less. It's like Domino's.
You'd be wrong. Oh, you'd be way wrong. In fact, it turns out if you go to HelloFresh.com, they have actual chefs, professional chefs making recipes.
So I have to wait for a chef to come over to my house.
No, in fact, he'll just stay where he is. All you have to do is check the website where he posted it and go, "What? This is this simple? This is this fast and this fresh?" Well,
what witchery is this?
What dark magic is at play? Well, I'll tell you right now, if you want the spiced turkey chili that looks insane, or the ginger beef stir fry, or the lemon shrimp scampi, or maybe even the pork tenderloin, all of these are here, ready for you to pick and be delivered to your house as farm fresh ingredients right to your door. If it needs refrigeration, that's how they come. If it needs a little salt, a little pinch of it, it's right there in a little bag. It's amazing. I've done it myself. I can attest to it. And in 30 minutes or less, you're a hero. Go check them out. HelloFresh.com is the place if they deliver to you, and they likely do. If they don't, they will soon. Use the code CurrentGeek50. That's CurrentGeek50 for 50% off for first-time customers. That's at HelloFresh.com.
In case you missed a look at one of the best-dressed beauties of the early 20s, here's another look at her. Had enough?
Oh, I've had enough. What's going on in our big hoo-ha today? I just skipped past it. Crap, here we go.
What's that?
Oh, Facebook. This is like an episode of the old TNT with you two. Facebook buys WhatsApp or WhatsApp for way too much money, and I never even heard of these guys. So explain what's going on with this?
It's $16 billion. I think like $4 billion of that is cash. The rest is stock. And then an extra $3 billion going to the employees of WhatsApp, mostly the founders, in the form of stock. So that bumps it up to $19 billion. And what Facebook gets is the messaging app that is the most popular on the planet Earth, WhatsApp.
Is it more popular somewhere else than here then? Because I've never even heard of it, and
It's actually pretty darn popular here. Reason you haven't heard of it is because we have pervasive unlimited text messaging plans. So it's not as necessary, whereas a lot of places still meter text messages, and WhatsApp gets you around that. And it's really dead simple. It uses your telephone number as your ID, which most of the messaging apps do, but WhatsApp blazed that trail. And then you can have unlimited messages over Wi-Fi or your data plan.
Go ahead.
Their whole core message too is kind of privacy. I read an article about the owner and how he was all about privacy and being able to send messages without storing a lot of information, which is
right. All the messages are stored on your device, not on their servers.
Exactly.
He's about to make a whole bunch of money. That guy that you just mentioned, Nicole. He's going to make so much freaking money.
Oh, he's already made a ton of money.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean,
and they were charging 99 cents for a year? Like you sign up, and there is a paid plan to it.
Oh, is there? Because I noticed the app is free, but
It's got a subscription fee for about a year. And funny thing was, back in the iPhone 3G days, a friend of mine was telling me about WhatsApp. He's saying you should use this because you get around text messages. So this predates iMessage, and obviously BBM being cross-platform wasn't an option, or IMs still wasn't exactly there. And I was like, why would you ever need this? He's trying to explain to me, you don't have to pay for texting. I'm like, oh, okay. But to see this be taken over by Facebook and WhatsApp vehemently saying nothing will change about our application, it's kind of like what Instagram said, right? Everyone's saying that when they got bought, they're saying nothing will change.
And we all know what happened with Instagram, which is almost nothing changed.
Yeah.
Almost nothing changed.
You got video and some, that's about
It
it.
seemed like stuff that they would be moving towards anyway.
Exactly.
Sure.
There's a lot of Facebook FUD out there. Like, they're going to take all your messages now, which they could, right? But they don't. I think a lot of people have a knee-jerk reaction of not trusting Facebook for very good reasons. But I like to think that it's possible that maybe they mean it when they say we just want to have WhatsApp be WhatsApp. Because I think this is Zuckerberg hedging his bets, saying, look, Facebook, we're not going to be the MySpace again. Facebook might not necessarily last forever. And we can try to innovate. We can try to beat the innovator's dilemma, or we can acquire companies that are doing it for us. And maybe in 10 years, Facebook, the company, isn't really known for being Facebook. It's like AOL. AOL, the company, is actually not known for being an ISP anymore. It's known for owning Engadget and TechCrunch, at least if you follow the company. Most people might not realize that, but that's what's keeping AOL afloat. So in part, anyway.
It's
Sure.
an interesting idea. The diversification of Facebook. I'm sure Zuckerberg's quite aware that they took over from MySpace, and before that was Friendster. And the social networking space can change in a heartbeat. Constantly looking over their shoulder with Twitter, trying to become the darlings of television and all these other media things. To have a vast library of different ventures, isn't that crazy? And if you can tie them together in the long run, I think there will be a tie-in to Instagram and WhatsApp. There'll be these like connections, but they won't be as seamless as Facebook. Right? Facebook has Messenger, and it has its own Photos app and camera app. It does all these things on its own as well. And by having the competitors, it's just giving them more leverage in the long run to say, look, if you don't like our service here, we've got this other thing. Kind of like, I think oddly though, they're able to do something Google can't. Google can't do duplicative services like Google Videos and YouTube. Like YouTube wins.
Yeah. Google
Videos disappears. I just don't know how long that thing can work out for Facebook.
Well, even Google tried to make that happen to Facebook with Google Plus, and it really hasn't happened. Not to the level that they needed it to. In fact, if anything, Google Plus has just sort of become a new initiative for how to connect all the Google services and have this unified account thing going on and all that. So it's that thing's taken a kind of a weird turn, and it's fine, and they can afford to do it and everything. But Zuckerberg, and this line in the notes is great. Mark Zuckerberg has learned what Steve Jobs knew. You need to disrupt yourself before your competitors do. That's a really interesting lesson. And when I read that, now this all comes clear to me. Because at first you're like, 14 billion, that's a lot of Skype takeovers, you know? Like,
Yeah.
It's a lot of money. But
Matthew Ingram at Gigom wrote that line, and it's a really good line.
it's great. So I think if I were them and I had their cash flow, wherever that is coming from, ads, I guess, whatever, spend it on stuff that could not only enhance yourself, but also take away the power from the outside. The same power that Mark, Zuckerberg seized himself when those holes presented themselves from these other services like Facebook or Friendster and so on. But like to do the same thing, I mean, people are going to do the same. They're the biggest target in the world now. Everybody wants that.
But here's the thing: the whole premise of what is it? I was going to say Snapchat, but that's the other one. WhatsApp. I mean, their whole philosophy has been free of ads, games, and gimmicks. So they've kind of built this audience of, we want what you want, but we're going to sell it to the company that's all about gimmicks and ads and games and all that crap.
Yeah.
And they are losing users. There's another app that doubled its numbers within a day because of this announcement.
Well, and that's the real challenge here that I don't think enough people are looking at. To me, it makes sense for Facebook to say this is an incremental audience. These are people who aren't using Facebook. There's 432 million. We're paying mostly in stock, so it's kind of fake money because we're 22 times our value anyway. That all makes sense to me. But when you look at the marketplace, KakaoTalk has 95% of the market in Korea and growing. They're going to do an IPO. Line dominates in Japan and is moving into other markets. WeChat has China locked up. They're moving out into other markets. WhatsApp has a big challenge in maintaining its dominance as the messaging app in the world.
Well, it has the silliest name. I'll give them that. They got that going. WhatsApp is
I don't
a
know,
real.
Kakao Talk's pretty fun.
Yeah,
I
that's
saw on
pretty
Twitter.
bad.
On Twitter, somebody was like, you know, everybody and every developer who really worries about the name of their app before releasing it can see this as a model to say it doesn't matter.
Nice, good
We
point.
laughed at Amazon. What Amazon?
We laughed at Twitter. We laughed at iPad. for
Yeah,
goodness sake.
everyone laughs at everything. iPods. People laughed at what was the thing recently?
Johnson.
Yeah, Johnsons. People laugh at
And
Johnsons all the time.
IBM. I mean, really, BM.
Barrett.
BM, right? BM.
Huh.
Oh man, what were they thinking? Those idiots.
I don't know.
International Bowel Movement. Jeez. All right, moving on. Let's talk about Netflix real quick here. According to this, Netflix packets being dropped every day because Verizon wants more money.
Jerks.
This is all the talk right now, and I know like Ars Technica has done some really, really good work for the consumer in terms of like really breaking it down as to how this affects people. It doesn't matter how fast your ISP is, how you're getting Netflix may have zero to do with your quality of service or speed from your selected ISP.
Right.
That kind of stuff is so infuriating. And I don't even hear Netflix talking that much anymore about Ultra HD content or any of that stuff, because even if you had the speed for it, would you actually freaking get it? And would you ever know
do.
if you would?
In fact, Ultra HD originally was limited to ISPs that were partnering with Netflix for delivery, because that was the only way to ensure that you were actually getting Ultra HD. Then they gave in and said, well, okay, we'll make it available to everybody, because companies like Verizon were like, Comcast especially, we can handle it. Why don't you think we can handle it? Actually, I think it was Time Warner that said that. They're like, great, okay, see if you can handle it. They were trying to call their bluff. There's all this behind the scenes negotiation going on. And there was a blog post that accused Verizon of blocking or filtering Netflix. It's not what's going on. What's going on is the ISPs are wanting to change the peering relationships. If I could try real quickly to make this not be totally boring.
No, this is great.
What happens in the behind the scenes, and I'm going to oversimplify for people who know networking.
Let me
so-
give you a little music for it. Okay, go ahead.
yeah,
Go ahead.
try not to hammer me here.
All right.
But behind the scenes, you've got what are called transit providers. You have other tier providers. Their whole job is to hook people up, to say, we'll make sure that your traffic gets out on the net to other people.
Right.
And peering has been going on since the beginning of the internet, which is, look, I'm going to send a lot of traffic your way. You're going to send a lot of traffic my way. We'll just call it even and won't charge each other, and we'll interconnect. I think of your home router, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're just interconnecting a bunch of things, plug it in more. Sometimes the routers get full because they've got a lot of capacity. You just add some more capacity, right?
Right.
Not exactly routers, but that's what's going on. What's happening now is companies like Verizon and Comcast are starting to say, hey, Netflix is sending all this video traffic through you, Cogent, and that's really clogging up our network. We're having to add all this capacity. It's out of balance. You should pay us because you're sending us more traffic than we're sending you. And of course, an ISP is never going to send a lot of traffic because nobody uploads stuff from ISPs. They're always downloading,
Sure,
right?
sure.
And that's what Cogent says, is that's not how peering works. Like, it shouldn't be about uploads or downloads. It's, you're requesting a lot of transit traffic. That's what we are, a transit provider. You don't want your folks to have Netflix. That's fine. Don't add capacity. Because it's not particular to Netflix. It's just the fact that Netflix has the most traffic. It's all the traffic that's getting slowed down. You only notice it on Netflix because video is very latency sensitive,
Sure,
right?
sure.
So everybody
You can't tell when your Reddit feed is a little slower
Yeah.
today or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly, or your email takes a little while. So they're dropping packets. And what Cogent is saying publicly, and this is a negotiation tactic, is these ISPs have no competition. So if things slow down, their audience is locked in. They can't go to another ISP anyway. And they're trying to use that leverage to drive up prices and charge us for things that we shouldn't be charging for.
Wow. See? You did that better than any of us could. Maybe IAS could have. I don't know. Nicole, you like Netflix.
I do.
But you and I are in the same boat of
I like Netflix, not necessarily the fiber that brings it to me.
No, you don't. Yeah, that's not the part we care about. So there's going to come a point where I keep making this prediction and it never seems to come true, but we're going to get to a point where it's like electricity. It's just freaking there.
Yeah.
And we don't have to think about it or worry about how much of it went up or down. It just is there.
Phoenix is up for Google Fiber.
Yeah, so Salt Lake. Oh, I'm so excited.
Ah!
Salt Lake City, Phoenix, not Denver. So Brian Ibbett, you can suck it. There was somebody.
Zephyr in the chat room says Netflix is throwing peering arrangements out of balance, and he's right. It's not even just Netflix. It's all the increased latency-sensitive traffic that's happening, and most of it is video, is changing the ballgame, and it's shining a spotlight on the fact that on the edge, the ISPs have way more leverage. And that's why a Cogent is out in public complaining about this. Now, apparently, Brian Berg of App.net did a trace route on Netflix and Comcast, and it appears those two companies may have come to an agreement of some sort because the delay that was happening seems to have disappeared. That may be Comcast gussying things up and adding some capacity right now because they want to get their merger with Time Warner approved. It could also be Netflix giving in and saying, you know what, yeah, this net neutrality thing might not go in our favor, so let's get some agreements in while we can.
Ooh, yeah.
I'm blaming you, Tom. Cord killers and everything. It's
That's
you
right.
caused the cord killing revolution.
Oh, we haven't even talked about how we're not going to, but we'll just mention that Aereo has been conjunctified or whatever, blocked.
Yeah.
Conjunctified is not the word I meant.
I don't think that's the word.
They
I like
got
it.
conjunctivitis.
It's kind of like getting pink eye.
They got a little bacteria in the corner of their eye and it spread. No, they're supposed to. Although I'm still getting it, by the way. It's supposed to be blocked in the Salt Lake market.
Well, the court order has gone out. They haven't actually pulled it yet.
Do we have any idea how? Just real quick, and no one's been able to answer this question for me all week. But if they have that court deal, can they just straight up say, turn it off, you have till Friday? Can't the ISP or not ISP, can't Aereo make the argument that we have millions of subscribers, you can't just tell these paying people that we're going to stop everything? There's got to be some. But
that's the court order. That's the argument that they had.
Mm-hmm.
Aereo made that. That's the idea of an injunction. Maybe I should let Ayaz explain this because I bet he could explain.
That's pretty much it. So if they're going to have like irreparable harm or something that's going to cause a huge issue, they're going to they're going to file a motion to say, well, don't enforce this injunction. Yeah. Just because an injunction's been issued doesn't necessarily mean that it has effect yet. Yeah. Because there are cases where you can just simply say, look, that's impossible. We can't do that. Although in the Aereo's case, it's a little easier. How can we turn off this signal that's getting to these people? Yeah. We can just turn off the servers.
Yeah,
it's not like we're talking about when Tom and I did this billions of times. Samsung's trying to they have stuff on a boat. They're shipping them on the water. Not exactly easy to say, turn them around.
All right.
So there are cases where it's not exactly enforced on the second it was issued.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how this folds out because it has become a really nice part of my unplugging of 5 years now. The Aereo thing has added a new wrinkle for me and made things better because now I can get live local television and events and Olympics and
And
Super Bowl.
antenna wasn't working for you before, huh?
Not well.
'Cause it doesn't for everybody.
It doesn't. Well, not well for me. I think if I had a better one, I'd be better off. But more importantly, I'm able to AirPlay the Super Bowl on my 70-inch high-def television, and it looked amazing. Like it looked.
Well, you can do that anyway. They stream the Super Bowl.
Well, that's true. But aside from that, like any of these other things that I want to do, there it is. And it's a nice. I like it. It's a cool service. I get why there's all this litigiousness going on, but it's all part of this big ball of what the hell is this all going to look like in 10 years kind of thing we're living in.
Well,
now.
and just so you know, this is the first of 3 districts to rule against Aereo. The other 2 ruled in their favor, and it's all going to the Supreme Court April 22nd. They're going to hear arguments between Aereo and the networks over these injunctions.
And by the way, I mean, the cable companies have a huge interest in Aereo winning because if this works, the cable companies are going to say, we're just making our own. So if Comcast and Time Warner, or once they're one unit or whatever they're going to be, or RCN, whoever else is out there, if Aereo is found to be legal, there's nothing stopping these other companies to say, we're not paying you retransmission fees.
Right, so but Comcast owns NBC Universal and a bunch of local stations.
Yeah,
who don't want to see this thing.
Yeah, Comcast, they've got a little. Their interest.
Time Warner owns some local stations as well.
Well, let's say but I think you're right. If that precedent goes forward as no, this is cool, then just imagine, maybe not Comcast, but let's say I don't know, some other provider, satellite or somebody could say,
is there anyone left?
You're not only going to get all the local HD channels and their little alternate channels they have on the local level, but you're also going to get this big list of other cable premium channels through the same service if you want them, and you may pay a little more for.
Well, it has to be over the air for the Aereo's thing to work because you have to have an antenna.
Right. Oh, that's a good point because you can't get that other stuff over the antenna if you.
Can you do it with a giant satellite like from the old days? You know, the 4-foot ones.
Yeah.
we had one.
Does that count?
Well, but they do it with micro antennas, so I don't think you could do micro satellites.
I need giant micro antennas. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right.
And I'm not sure that you can legally
tiny
receive. Those giant satellites always had murky legal.
Yeah.
I picture Ayaz in a suit at the court case saying,
Turning it.
define antenna for me or something. And getting into it. That's pretty good. All right. Well, put on your britches and hold on to your stitches, everybody. It's time for this.
America scores and wins.
It's time for the pop quiz. That's where we ask pop quiz questions of our guests, and they are forced to answer them, and then Tom keeps score in the only way he knows how, which is weirdly.
It's a very complex scoring system.
I shouldn't say weird. I should say it's complex.
I spent years, instead of going to law school like I spent years studying the scoring system.
Right. So
Kind of like what law school's like.
this is going to be interesting because they're very diverse topics. So the one I thought about doing law for IAS, but we chose something else. We'll get to that in a minute.
Thanks.
That would have been cruel.
Nicole, we're going to start with you, and it is Borderlands 2 trivia. Okay. Specifically, no Borderlands 1. And I should just preface all this by saying Nicole is a gigantic fan of the Borderlands series, specifically 2, and has played every ounce of it. Don Cheeto trivia has only got one question and one answer, which is how do you mispronounce Don Cheadle's name? So let's get right to it here. And if you hear this sound, you get it wrong. If you hear this sound, it means you got it right. And Tom
I have a bad memory, by the way. I'm just going to put that out there.
Oh, I'm aware of this. That's why this will be fun. So here you go. First question. What weapon company is known for making guns with elemental damage effects in the game?
Malware?
Oh, you are. I think she's close enough. It's Malawan, but that is real close. I'd give her that
Give her
one.
0.99.
All right, that's pretty good. That's almost a full point. What is the name of the NPC who provides you with the optional Top Gun mission called Too Close for Missiles?
Was that Goose?
Loggins. Kenny No,
Loggins,
just
that's
Loggins.
right.
Yeah, there's no Kenny in it.
So close.
That's what it's named after.
It washes out. No points.
Okay. How much money do you need to tip Moxie to get the Sugar Daddy achievement?
$100,000.
Oh, 10 grand is the answer.
Oh, there was the second one. There was a second one that you get a second gun.
Tom, how
Well,
you
I'm
want
going to give you 0.1 for having the 0 in the wrong place.
But there's 2 achievements on there. The first
You're
one.
going to lose a half point for arguing.
Yeah, that's right. See, this is the weird scoring.
Okay.
In the name game mission, Hammerlock wants you to kill some bullymongs. Halfway through, he changes their name. What does he change it to?
Which time?
From bullymongs to something else. He doesn't say which time. He says
changes it 3 times.
it's only in the mission, the name game.
Well, that's the same mission.
I don't know.
I don't remember. Fart knockers.
Fart knockers. Let me check. Primal beasts. Primal beasts is the answer.
I'm gonna give 0.01 there for
remembering
knowing
3
that
answers.
there were actually 3 names.
Yeah.
I mean, the question was a little bit flawed.
That's kind of impressive. What kind of elemental effect is highly effective against armored and robotic enemies?
The lightning, electric.
Corrosive weapons is the correct answer. That's the only one on this list I knew. I can't believe I even knew that one. In the mission A Damn Fine Rescue, what is the name of the robot you need to defeat to rescue Roland? This is impossible.
Boba Fett.
W4R-D3N is the name of that boss. That one's too hard, I think. Butt Stallion is the name of Handsome Jack's diamond-encrusted pony. What name did Jack consider before settling on Butt Stallion?
Shoot.
I kind of remember this one.
I think I don't remember.
It is Piss for Brains. Piss for Brains.
I'm going to give you a half point just because you had to listen to Scott say butt stallion.
Or Piss for Brains. What classic line from Breaking Bad is yelled by some of the psionics during combat? Or the psychos, rather. Sorry.
Bitch.
Incorrect. It was I am the one who knocks, but that's okay. That's a hard
I'm going to
question.
give her a full point because poetically she's correct.
Yeah, she is right. What is the name of Axton's turret? Axton's turret.
It has a name. I only played the Siren.
I know, I knew this one.
Axon. Hacks off.
Incorrect. It is the saber turret.
Full point off for excuse making, but then a half point credit for the Karate Kid.
All right. Nicely done. Finally, your last question. What actors would be awesome in a Borderlands movie? This is a total trick question.
Okay.
Think about 2 actors that we always tease you about.
Don Cheadle,
And-
Dermot McRolney.
Very good. You did it.
Val Kilmer.
No, we forgot about Val Kilmer. Those are the correct answers. Dermot
Full point.
McRolney and Don Cheadle.
Christian Chenoweth.
Yep. Christian Chenoweth. It's amazing. All right. Congratulations. Tom, how'd oh, no, you don't tell me how she did yet. We'd have to do Ayaz first.
Yeah, I still got to do it. Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
Ayaz coming up.
Ayaz, it's Google and Apple trivia.
Okay.
I'm taking these
Ayaz.
2 companies who are feverishly competing with one another, and now you have to break down the trivia from both. So here you go.
Okay.
What was honored in the first ever Google Doodle?
I have no idea. I'll say garage.
The 1998 Burning Man Festival.
2 points to Ayaz because that's a dumb question. I hate Google Doodles.
All right, fair enough. What Apple manager was fired after their Maps fiasco?
Oh, man. Well, I don't remember his name. I know Forstall left,
Yeah,
but he's not part of the Maps thing.
that ain't him. Richard Williamson. He was the head of the Maps dude thing.
Nobody remembers him. No points.
No points at all. What are Google employees known as within the company?
Googlers?
Correct. Very nice. Googlers.
I get a half point. That's pretty obvious.
I thought they were just like employee number, like 26, you know? What does it matter?
Number 9. All right.
What are new Google employees known as? Nooglers.
Nooglers? Oh, geez.
Little bonus there.
What company planned to release a 12-inch very realistic-looking Steve Jobs action figure, but never did due to pressure from Apple and the Jobs family?
Toyco.
In Icons. In Icons. Nothing like Toyco.
Man.
Next one. In the 2011 Muppets movie, which Muppet has taken a job at Google before rejoining the Muppets?
Gonzo?
Oh, it was Scooter. It was Scooter.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Where was Beaker?
Beaker was off somewhere else doing something else. Who knows what he was doing?
Right. He'd be in the Moonshots division.
That's right.
Gonzo had his toilet cleansing.
VIP Black is one of the most expensive apps on the Apple App Store. How much is this app?
$1,000.
You are correct, sir.
Full point.
Nicely
Good
done.
job.
I'd forgotten all about that. Google's name is a play on the word Google. What does Google mean?
It's a 1 with 100 zeros after it.
You are correct. Nicely done.
Full point. Nicely
Point.
done.
Yeah. What Apple employee with weird eyes was fired after the iPhone 4S keynote?
With weird eyes?
It's kind of a comment about me because I always said he had a weird eye. One of his eyes is weird. I didn't write
After
this
the
question.
iPhone 4 keynote.
4S keynote.
Jim something.
I'm not sure this is totally correct, but Scott Forstall was fired.
Yeah,
after
you
that
said
keynote.
it earlier, so you lose a point for that. Come on.
Come on now.
Was it the
I-
iPhone 4?
Yeah, it was after the S. Yeah.
4S.
Yeah. Because remember, that would have been
That can't
just
be right.
that was just prior to the 5.
So you're going to lose a point for
He's
arguing.
gonna Google it. Watch out.
You're going to Google it.
Google. He's going to noogle it. All right. Next question. How many gigabytes does Google give you for Gmail, Google Drive, and Google Plus?
25?
15 gigabytes currently.
What?
Yeah.
It changes a lot. I'm going to
I'm
call
pretty
that a
sure I
wash.
have 25. Okay, fine.
He's gonna call
You asked
it
how much
a
I
wash.
get?
Well, I don't know how much you get.
You just asked what I get, so anything I say was right.
Oh, you're right. It
Point
says
4
give
off
you.
for arguing.
That's a really good point, though, that he made. Oh, you're going to dock points for
No,
me
that's
now.
why I gave him a washout. Didn't take off a point originally.
Right.
Don't worry.
Now he's arguing. All right. Final question. What was Tim Cook's position at Apple before being appointed to CEO?
COO.
You are correct. All right, Tom, how'd they do?
Well, it was a dead heat at the very end. Nicole finished up with 3.1. Ayaz was sitting on 3.1 without hesitation. COO, 1 full point, gets him on top, 4.1.
Yay, Ayaz wins, everybody. Congratulations. Nicely done.
Thank you. Nicely played, Nicole. Your questions were incredibly hard. I would have gotten absolutely none of those right.
Yeah.
I probably would have got a few of yours right.
See, there you go. That's what you should. You got screwed.
I'm
We'll have to
impressed by
try,
both
we'll
of
have
you.
to try a buzz-in situation where we ask the same question to both.
Oh, that'd be fun.
It'd be tough.
How would we
over
do it?
Skype.
Yeah,
Skype lag.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, if they both have the same lag, maybe it wouldn't be that big a deal.
It could be
Or
like
maybe
a
if one of
Newlywed
them
game,
gets
though.
it wrong, the other one could challenge and take it. I don't know.
Well, Newlywed game, like we write
It
down
was
the
fun.
answer, we hold it up.
Oh, that's great. There's your. Yeah, you'd have to have video, but yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's a good idea. All right, let's jump into this.
What sort of future do you think we're heading for? How will we live as we slip into the 21st century?
The future promises even more startling things to come.
Here's a startling thing. I believe, and we are to argue this if anyone has any thoughts, I believe by mid-2015, that is, let's say a year and a few months from now, we will all be wearing first and second generation watch-like, something around our wrist wearable computing devices, WIST. And they will probably be made by the likes of Apple and Samsung. And Samsung already kind of has their stuff, but it really sucks right now. I think that stuff will get considerably better. But I think that bold vision of wrist-wearing wearable computing happens in just a little more than a year from now. Thoughts, feelings?
I have to agree with you. I've been looking into some of those wearable wrist watches, and I don't wear watches anymore. So I don't know as early as 2015, though. I think it's a little further out.
You think it's further out than that they're good enough that we all kind of mainstream want one?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be mainstream for a while.
Ayaz, thoughts?
See, I'm running into this issue of watches versus things like fitness bands that are adding clocks to them.
They're going to be the same, right?
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, there's this feature creep happening with the fitness bands where they're getting more and more Appified, or they're getting more displays, or whatever it's going to be. And then you have these smart devices, the smartwatches, which I think they're too expensive, and they will remain too expensive for them to be the replacement for these fitness bands. I think we're going to have a lot more people wearing fitness bands like they are now, instead of shelling out $300-400 for a less than perfect device. There's something easier to take about. It's a chintzy little device. It does more than I want it to do, versus this should do everything and it does nothing properly.
It's a good point. That's actually what I'm looking at are those fitness bands. So
Yeah,
I'm just not ready to pull the trigger.
The fitness bands, my only problem with them thus far have been a durability problem. I think they just get beat up too quick and break.
Would you complain about the Galaxy Gear durability? I mean, you would know not to like run around with it, take a shower with it, or any of those other things.
Sure,
the
that's a
fitness
good
ones
point.
have a much higher standard.
Yeah.
Of
You know what's interesting? You say this and it just got me to thinking. They're positioned, let's say Nike or Fitbit, who, the big names, they are positioned in a unique way to maybe be a big deal in wearable computing, whereas even Apple and Samsung and others have to kind of claw their way up there, because there's no reason to think that Apple's going to come out with a $100 device. It's not going to happen. It's going to be $300. It's going to tie into the iPhone in crazy ways, and that's going to seem really neat from a lot of different perspectives. But if you were Fitbit and you came out with a fuel band like Fitbit device that had a bunch of additional smartphone features that are going to Bluetooth from your phone, regardless of carrier or type of phone, that's almost, and charge me $150 for that. That's almost a far more interesting prospect as a consumer than some, full-blown Apple design device, which I'm sure would be beautiful and amazing. But, if the draw is fitness and then you get this bonus stuff added on top of that when they maybe branch out a little bit, maybe it can receive text messages, or maybe it's tied into certain apps you use all the time, like, I don't know, email, Gmail, I can't think of any others, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, then maybe they have an upper hand. That would be really interesting.
I'm going to say absolutely not. And I'm going to preface this by saying I'm the guy who also thought instant messaging was stupid when it came in the late 90s. I didn't understand why anyone would want a camera in their phone. So it may just be that part of my brain that has a block, but I don't think people want to wear stuff. It's like saying, we've got the smart suspenders for you and these cravats. It just seems antiquated. People have been moving away from things like watches. I think maybe there's some wearable stuff in our more distant future, like our 10-year timeline, that's really kind of out of the way. You can't tell you're wearing it. It's seamless. It just, projects something onto your eyes and you get a heads-up display just when you need it, or a little audio thing through bone conduction. But I don't think people really want to wear it. And I agree with you guys that the Fitbit and the Nike Fuel Band, those are the compelling reasons for most people to do a wearable. And even most of the people I know who get them stop wearing them because they just don't want to have to deal with continuing to put them on and remembering to take them off.
Yeah,
Tom, I think you got a great point there because these phones, the S4 and the S5 rumored, and the M7 and the Apple iPhone 5S. I know it sounds like an alphabet soup. These chips are actually tracking what you're doing with motion already, and that's already the one device people don't let go of. It's their smartphone. And the fact that you could have the Nike app on the iPhone 5S, it can actually look back at your movements over the past 2 weeks, so that data is always being stored. That might be the thing that stops wearables from taking off, because these phones could have the chips that are tracking you, and people have no problem remembering, hey, charge your phone, carry your phone. I know I would forget to charge a Fitbit or carry it.
Yeah.
And my phone, though, that thing is an extension. That never leaves me.
I washed in my jeans 2 different Fitbits. And I only had 2 because the first one I washed, and Fitbit was really nice to send me a replacement. Now, these are not the wrist ones, but these are like little pocket dealies, right?
Yeah, yeah.
By the time I did the second time, I didn't have the heart to call them back and say, yeah, I washed the second one. So that
it's really clean.
So that went away. And then I had the Nike Fuel Band until it started getting super beat up and also started spitting out gibberish. I think I banged it against something too hard once, and it just started making, it wasn't even doing the point number thing anymore. It was all like signals from outer space. So I quit using that. And I found that what I ended up using was an app to do diet tracking, like food diary, diet tracking stuff, and regular exercise stuff based on that same app. And that was all on my phone. And I think Ayaz is right. How many people are washing their phones? It happens, but it's pretty rare, because the phone is no longer just this thing you don't think about. It's this thing you're checking all the time. And because you're checking it all the time, you just automatically are like, all right, phone's out of my pocket. It's on the thing. These jeans are in the laundry. Don't have to think about it again. Whereas with these other devices, you whack it on something and break it. You're not going to want to go spend another $300. You already have a hard enough time not dropping your phone. But if you do drop your phone, you're probably going to get a new phone because you need it for all the millions of other things it's doing for you. You break your watch, you're like, well, I'm not spending $300 again on another watch. So I kind of agree. And I kind of agree with Tom. Like, I kind of just don't think, as much as it's my prediction that next year is when this will really hit, I kind of think I don't care.
I'll give you this, Scott. If it's going to hit, if everything I said is wrong and people are like, yes, I want this, I think you're right. It kind of has to happen in the next year.
Yeah. But you are pontificating
as usual.
Yeah, as usual, that we won't get there. Like, the demand isn't going to be there for it to happen here.
I don't think it is.
This might be the second version of the UMPC.
Positing is what I meant, not pontificating. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
This might be just another UMPC. If you guys remember that, it was this very expensive portable PC. It was a great idea. It was a full PC. Battery life was something like 2.5, 3 hours, unfortunately, because PCs required a lot of power. And the idea was you'd carry this one machine, you'd dock it, and this would be your one thing. But it came out too early. Yeah. And the weird thing is our smartphones became those things in the long run because you had apps. Because before apps, why would you need this? But you had applications, and now you even have a lot more desktop functionality than you ever would have. And it just seems like the wearable stuff, while there might be a huge push for it and everyone thinks this is the next thing, it might just fail because of what Scott's saying. The price point is just so high that it's kind of like, it's a good idea, and I would like this to be cool, and I would like to have it, but I'm not spending $300 each time because this is a piece of jewelry that could get broken very easily. So it might just be a great idea that maybe in like 10 years, we'll see another iteration when there's all kinds of color e-ink things, and we're watching these little scrollable screens in our pockets and whatever these things will be, but not for a while.
Just remember, everybody thought tablets were never going to work. They failed in the early aughts, and they weren't going to ever work again, and then somehow they did. So, and I'm not even saying it's Apple that makes watches work. I'm just saying
somebody could. You're right.
Tom was wrong about camera phones. Maybe we're all wrong about this, but in the meantime, don't wash your Fitbit is what we've learned from this conversation. Let's get to a quick email we got from Marty, who wrote in and said, "Hey, Scott, I don't mean to be that guy, but I feel compelled to call you out on your Zelda is in a bunch of different universes, so it's not a reboot comment." I took a little heat for this. According to the Hyrule Historia, released in 2013 in North America, Nintendo explains that all Zelda games come from the same universe. They have a huge timeline at their office, and each game is slotted into that time slot, or into their own time slot, I guess. You can see this in the Wind Waker series, where there are clear ties leading from Ocarina of Time to Wind Waker to Phantom Hourglass to Spirit Tracks and so on. In Skyward Sword, it is explained that Ganon's ancestors will always leave a curse on Link's ancestors, explaining explaining the ties to Zelda and Link. They aren't in different universes, rather just descendants of the same Link over hundreds and maybe some thousands of years. Technically, the timeline branches into 3 separate timelines at Ocarina of Time, but that's just part of the game. The following link is an example of the Hyrule Historia explaining the timeline at the time of the book's release. Don't mean to go all Zelda geeky on you. I just couldn't help it. Love the show, Marty. Smart people listening to the show who know way more about this stuff than we do, and we really appreciate when you write in. So this is a case of, yeah, I just didn't know that. That seems crazy to me, that they've got all of that figured out, and it's all in the same timeline. Did that rock your world? Yeah, it kind of did. I mean, it's a game where every game you're kind of doing a lot of similar things with a very different Link, and he seems to be starting a story over he's never heard of before. So
Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, a bit. But it feels like there's, we talked about this on Final Score, how they seem to be starting fresh every time.
Right.
But he's saying, and I have no reason to doubt him, I've looked at this link a little and it kind of makes sense, but it's one big, and that really makes it kind of a dark place. Like, this stuff just keeps repeating. This has happened before and it will happen again kind of thing going on. Woo! Yeah. That's dark. I mean, when are we going to hear All Along the Watchtower start playing?
If you're born with the name Link, you're screwed.
Yeah, dude. Your parents are also nerds if they named you Link.
We're told.
If you'd like to email us, you can. currentgeek@gmail.com. All comers are welcome, so please send us your emails. And that is going to do it for an episode of the show. My goodness, what amazing guests you've been. I've really enjoyed having you guys on. You guys are insane.
Approved.
Yes, approved. Thank you. Iaz, give us the lowdown on where people can find out what you're up to these days.
What you can, if you want to see what I do all day, you go to cnet.com. That's what I mess with every single day. I'm in charge of the front door, which means that whatever's on the page, I've decided to put it there. So if you see crazy headlines, it might be me. That's what I do for a living. On occasion, you might see me on podcasts like this or doing news shows. IAS.tv is where I'm trying to put things. I'm really lazy. It's updated once a week. Or Twitter. Twitter's where is the best place you can get me, at IAZ. That's IYAZ.
One of those lucky 4-letter dudes. It's amazing.
You guys were fantastic. I'm really glad to be a part of this,
thanks, man.
Particular show.
Yeah.
Nicole, you were great.
You were
you too, IAZ.
You were a no-brainer. We put you on the list immediately and said, IAZ would fit in here. Why aren't we having him on here? And then we decided to go ahead and have you do it. Nicole, always a pleasure, of course. You're probably sick of me, but people aren't sick of you. So tell me tell people where they can go to find more Nicole.
I do a lot of things on the web, and probably the best place to go to find all of them is my About Me page. So about.me/Nicole Spag, or you can find me on Twitter at Nicole Spag.
Nice. So, I would recommend nerdparents.com as one of the things she does. It's really good. And
New show?
Yeah. Who's this week? Remind me. Who's on it?
We just released Cashel and Eric Mailer.
Oh, great parts of the community. Those guys are amazing. Yeah.
Just bring everybody on. And we're even bringing non-parents on the show.
Mm-hmm.
So
all comers, man.
Yeah. Gonna grab Terpster and Patrick on an episode soon.
Oh, geez.
That should be fun, right?
That should be something for sure is what that'll be. Tom, anything else before we head out of here, sir?
Yeah, just in time for this episode of Current Geek, the March edition of the Tech History Kindle single is out and available in the Amazon store, illustrated by Scott Johnson.
Hey.
Right there. So if you've been following and picking these up, you can get the next one, or you can just dive right in with March if you want. It's 99 cents.
Yeah, not gonna hurt. Just go for it. Check it out. Those drawings aren't gonna view themselves. Okay.
They aren't. Well, hopefully not.
Hopefully not. So go check those out. I want to thank, as usual, Andrew Allen for our theme music. He's awesome, and we really appreciate him. Alpha Geek Radio for our simulcast over the Shoutcast stream. You can follow us on Twitter at Current Geek, Tom at Ace Detect, me at Scott Johnson. You can find us at currentgeek.reddit.com, currentgeek@gmail.com, and currentgeek.com, and iTunes and everything else. It's going to do it for us. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time. All right. Thank you, everybody.
That was awesome. I'm so glad you were on this episode, Ayaz.
Thanks.
Are we going to talk you into coming to Nerdtacular?
When is it?
July 4th weekend.
July 4th weekend.
Oh, that's going to be almost impossible.
How patriotic are you to have to not miss?
I could tell you, I have to say, I'll tell you stuff offline about why it would be almost impossible. But I'm not saying no. I said almost impossible.
Tom will be there.
Yeah, Tom will be there.
I'll be there.
I forgot to promote. I actually did content for CNET. I actually did a how-to video.
Oh, cool. What? Yeah. Why didn't you promote that? Oh my god!
Because I forgot. There's my regular job. I did that last week, and I forgot about it. And
is it on CNETTV.com? How did I miss this?
Yeah, howto.cnet.com and how
What'd
to get Google.
What is it?
When I got to write a post, and I got to do a little quick tip. So I'm kind of Tom, I've done pretty much. What else have you done there? Because I need to do something else that you've done.
I launched
top 5.
the holiday gift guide.
Hey, top 5's a good idea, actually.
Yeah, steal top 5 from Donald Bell. He won't care.
I was kind of busy with it, so I'll steal something else.
I went and had drinks in the middle of the day with Cooley.
I'll work on that.
Test my microphone.
That's a great idea.
I think we're ready.
But yeah, that was. I totally forgot I'd done that.
Well, I'll email you about the. You can tell me the Nerdtacular thing. I'm curious about July and what you're doing in July. Does it involve childbirth? Is it wrong for me to guess on the air?
Yes, is having a baby. As a man.
You never know. You know?
Never know. Any minute of the day,
Junior.
you could be contacted by somebody saying, "Ayaz, he's your baby." Well, that's great. You guys were awesome. Yeah. Seriously, I don't know that we've had a.
I made it through the show.
Yeah, and you're feeling all right. You feeling okay?
Yeah, I'm not yakking.
Current
so
geek.
That's always good.
All right.
I like the standard of what is okay.
In 3, 2, 1.
Oh my god, I'm watching Ayaz on a CNET video. It's amazing.
Is it good?
Well, especially because they're still using the same motion graphic intro that they were using when I worked there.
I know.
Really? Wow.
That's what I saw. It. So like I was in the building and I was just walking towards the elevator and then I heard my own voice on the TV behind me and I saw the graphics and everything. And I was like, oh, that's surreal. That's really
we gotta start seeing you in Costco on the demo TVs like we do Cooley or whoever's on there usually.
Well, hopefully I'll get on the gas stations like Cooley. That I think is
the ultimate, dude.
I'll take your picture when I see you. I'll take your picture and send it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
I see Cooley all the time.
Yeah, I topped off my gas tank with Ayaz Akhtar. And
so
I would have heard everything he said except the price came up after or right in the middle of him talking. So there you go.
So Iceworm did the Borderlands 2 trivia, right?
He did, yeah.
That was really good.
Yeah, he did. He does a good job.
Iceworm.
He does a good job on that stuff as usual. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
All right, well, you guys have a fantastic Friday night and weekend.
Bye, everyone.
Tom, you too, man.
You too,
Let's
Scott.
talk soon, sir. Goodbye.